All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about Roy Jones Jr. getting some shaky feet on his prediction for the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, and you can now get him out of the category of people that are predicting that Terence Crawford wins. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Roy Jones Jr. changing his prediction for the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. The closer we get to it making happen and make it actually happening, the less confident Roy Jones Jr. is becoming, and I think you guys need to take note of that. So we will discuss what he said and what it means. Before I do that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos, which we do pretty much on a daily basis in the live stream format and in the video format, which we're doing now. Also, to support the channel, hit that like button, share the video. Also, there's the super thanks down there. If you feel like donating to the channel to keep the channel running would be great. Otherwise, let's chop it up about this boxing. So, and this is for all of y'all that talked about how all of these experts says you're wrong, Fanon, because I have told you for a while, I think this fight is a very close fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford for the undisputed championship of the world at in the welterweight division, where Errol, it would be, if they get the fight made, which it's not, but if they get the fight made, the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF belt will be on the line for Errol Spence Jr., and the WBO will be on the line for Terence Crawford, right? The winner collects all of them, right? And this is just a big fight that everybody wants. So a few months ago, when there was Hall of Fame inductions for Floyd Mayweather Jr., Miguel Cotto, Andre Ward, James Toney, I think Bernard Hopkins. A lot of these guys went into the Hall of Fame. At the same time, Terence Crawford was at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And of course, because this is what's going on in boxing, everybody's asking about who's going to win between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. It's just a very hot topic. It is what it is. You know, y'all ain't changing it, neither am I, so let's get it going. Regardless, they all give their predictions, right? Roy Jones Jr. gave his prediction at the time and said that, and he also did it on Pro Box, which is a podcast that he, Antonio Tarver, and Paulie Malignaggi all participate on. I think they all own it and participate in it, where Roy Jones Jr. said that he thought Terence Crawford would win the fight, right? And then he said it again at the Hall of Fame induction, and then later on he kind of backed off of it a little bit, and he said, "Look, you know, admitted, look, you know, I've seen more of Terence Crawford because I covered him for HBO, so I've been right there watching him, you know, up front. But Errol Spence Jr., I've not seen as much of him." Now, a lot of people took that, and he actually said that a couple years ago, but a lot of people took that to mean that, you know, he's making it. What do you mean you've never seen Errol fight? Everybody's see, you know, you don't watch the fights. How could you not see Errol fight, right? Because at the time he said, you know, he doesn't know that whether or not Errol Spence Jr. done enough to really show him. Well, guys like that, more than likely, guys that are in the gym all the time, because Roy Jones Jr. is a trainer, training various people. He is somebody that will still jump out there and do at any moment in time, may have his own fight, but also running, you know, doing commentary on different fights. Professional fighter for a long time. A lot of them don't watch every single solitary boxing match that is out there. So when he was talking about who he was watching, he was talking about who he literally sat next to the ring and watched fight live. So he said he had seen Terence Crawford. Now, this time when he's asked about it, he changed it from predicting that Terence Crawford was going to win to saying, no, this is a 50-50 fight. He's like, this is now, it may be, and I'm sure people are going to be out there saying, well, he may have said that because, he doesn't want the pressure on him and all of that. I don't understand why that would affect what he says, because the pressure has been on for several years. And on top of that, Roy Jones ain't never seemed like somebody that is going to shy away from giving you his real perspective just because some people are going to give him some blowback, right? But what he said was, look, man, I don't know what's going to happen in that fight. If you have, you have Terence Crawford, who I like in the first 6 rounds of the fight. So Terence Crawford, if that fight ends early, I got Terence Crawford if it ends early. But if that fight gets in that second half of the fight, Errol Spence is somebody that keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger throughout the entirety of the fight. And that could be a very, very big problem for Terence Crawford. And if it goes to, into the second half, I think Errol Spence Jr. will win. So now he's basically shifted from somebody that said that he thought Terence Crawford was going to win to somebody that he thought, well, I know that there's some problems that Errol can give to Terence Crawford, but I still think Terence Crawford will win. To now saying he's not picking a winner. He thinks it's a 50-50 fight because he recognizes what Errol Spence Jr. can do in the second half of the fight. Didn't change the structure of his analysis at all in any of those scenarios, right? Because I do believe, and I think that it's clear that he has observed enough about both fighters to know generally what they're doing. It just seems to me that he's paying a lot more respect to Errol Spence Jr. and Errol Spence Jr.'s ability now than he was earlier when he was saying, look, I had not really seen a lot of him. I don't really know a lot of him. Now, could that have something to do with the Yordenis Ugas fight? For me, I think that it probably has something to do with the Yordenis Ugas fight. And the fact that, and if he was thinking about it, that, Errol in 2 of the other fights was really coming off of a time where he wasn't in shape in between fights. And you'll get that through not just inside information, that's just readily publicly available, that Errol Spence, and out of the mouth of Terence Crawford, and is specifically his trainer Bomac, who said, look, you don't even stay in shape in between fights. And in fact, that infamous meeting that they had in Dallas, where they had that back and forth, right? Terence Crawford literally grabbed Errol Spence Jr.'s belly. He was like, looking kind of fat there, right? You ain't staying, look a little soft in that middle. Well, you don't see that of Errol Spence Jr. You haven't seen that out of Errol Spence Jr. since he got back from that car accident, and his level of performance went up dramatically between his fight with Danny Garcia and the fight that took place with Yordenis Ugas. But, I don't doubt at all that, Terence Crawford, that Roy Jones Jr. sees this fight just like he said it, just like a lot of people see it, is a 50-50 fight. That's what Andre Ward is calling it. That is what a lot of people are calling it when they're playing. I think when they're playing respect for both of those guys. I think anybody that is really out on the extremes of either side are just really fans of those guys, right? Like if you think, my personal belief is, if you think that Errol is going to walk in and knock out Terence Crawford in 3 rounds, I don't see that happening. If you think, Terence Crawford is just going to clip Errol, is just going to clip Errol with a counter left hook, and then Errol's going to go reeling back into the ropes, and Terence Crawford is going to beat him into a pulp in the fights. I don't see that happening either. I see that fight being tactical, to the extent that Terence Crawford can keep it tactical. But at a certain point in time, Terence Crawford is going to sit down and fight. Period. He's going to sit down and fight, and Errol's going to be there sitting down and fighting, and it's going to be who is the tougher guy, who's the better mid-range inside fighter, and who really's got the most dog in him at the end of the day is who's going to win that fight. That's how I take it, and I know Errol's got a lot of dog in him, and Terence Crawford got a lot of dog in him. I just don't know if you just got an Anatolian Shepherd versus a pit bull. You know what I mean? That Anatolian Shepherd's going to win, man. Trust me, 9 times out of 10. And I'm using that as a gross average, not anything specific, for people that want to nitpick me in the comment sections. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.